Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode. And today I'm talking about income tax in the United States. If you are, of course, interested in moving to the United States, then many times I got this question like, Bernard, having a business in the United States, is it better because of tax purposes? Or if you have a full time job, is it better than in my home country? Well, first of all, it depends on in what specific country you are currently living, and then I would be able to compare it to your specific situation. But in general, I cannot do that because everybody has a complete different situation. You might be in Europe and you would like to immigrate, or you might be somewhere in Asia and in from India to wherever, right? So I can focus literally on the facts of the tax system here in the United States and why I believe that it's actually, compared to many other countries, pretty good, pretty good. But of course, we all suffer from paying too much, like on taxes, and we all would love to have absolute zero taxes, right? So that being said, but let's get started. First of all, you have in the United States, and you might be aware of this, or like you also might be familiar with this in your home country, it's so-called federal tax income. That means no matter where you live in the United States, the so-called FAT tax, federal tax income, is global. And the Internal Revenue Service, also known as IRS, is basically the treasury of all this, and you kind of like have to file once a year a tax return, and if you do so, then you will be evaluated if you have to pay more taxes or less taxes. In general, it is a progressive tax system. What does this mean? That basically means when you have a specific income, those numbers are changing every year, of course, then you will be taxed for the first $10,000, maybe there's 0 or 1%. Then from 10 to $20,000, you will be taxed like 3%, 5%. From 20 to 30,000, whatever those progressive siloed structure tax, collections are, this is what you are going to pay. But keep in mind, if you're not familiar with the progressive tax system, I would definitely encourage you to dive into this a little bit more and pull out the calculations, the calculator, and make the math, because most of the time it's misunderstood and people say, wait a minute, if I make, let's say, over $200,000 a year, then I will be taxed 50% of my income. This is not true. This is absolutely not true, because it's a progressive tax system, and that has the ladder system, right, where you like pay only for a specific portion, for a specific amount, a specific percentage of income. So this is the so-called federal tax. Now, in my opinion, I have to say, if I compare it to my home country, it is much better. And a lot of people, just from the federal tax return system, always told me when I lived in Austria, like also have been working in Munich, in Germany, like, Bernard, like, the United States is crazy, right? But so to speak, look, our tax system seems also to be crazy. So what is actually really better? At the end, you have pros and cons, definitely, because you have to understand that the taxation in the United States seems to be just from the income tax, and I'm talking here literally about the income tax, seems to be for you as a person seems to be just like better. What I mean by better, I basically can say it is less money you have to pay. So taxes are less if I compare it, for example, with Austria, no question about it. But then you also need to consider that the taxation in Austria is for instance, completely different, because not just from the progressive system is literally the same, but there is, of course, also the social security benefits. You have the healthcare system that is a big block, and also for your retirement funds, etc. And that's something you don't really have here in the United States. Yes, there's also a very small fraction of social security you need to pay, and but that is not really how you could potentially compare the system in, for example, from my home country, right? So, but what does this mean? That also means that, of course, when it comes to healthcare, you also need to take care for your own premium or for your own private health insurance that comes on top of it. And either way, you pay it for yourself, or you have a sponsor and you are employed and you have a group insurance, and the company is also paying a huge portion or part of your portion of that premium. So, but I don't want to get into insurance. That's a complete different chapter. There's so many other stuff. I want to stay at the taxes. And so, yes, in general, I would say that the federal tax income is not as bad as a lot of people think that the United States is. I can say so if I compare it to other countries. So now, but that is not everything. Now, you might scratch your head and you might say, well, wait, what? What are you saying? Like, so now it gets really very interesting, because the next thing I would like to discuss with you and I would like to explain you is, now it can be that you have additional income tax in the United States, but that depends on where you live. Yes, so people like usually, are in shock and they say like, what? What are you talking about? I thought like there is one federal income tax and that's it. Nope, it isn't. So you have to understand, America is so big, the United States is so big, and each state has also a different taxation. So, and each state is treating this by themselves. They basically do this on their own, and every state has here big differences. Now, when it comes to income tax, so this is what you have to understand. So yes, you have first the federal tax, and then depending in which state you're living, you have also state income tax. And that state income tax, is also significant amount you have to pay. And now it depends on in which state you live. For instance, like me, I live in California. The state income tax in California is pretty high. But here comes the good news. And this is also the big wow effect for a lot of people, especially if you're interested also like in freelance work, or if you are going to build your own company, etc. There are states in the United States and they don't have any state income tax. Haha. So that is good for you if you work in those specific states, because there is no more additional tax payment for you to do. And there's also no more tax return for you to do. So I thought also when I first moved to the United States, that's kind of like very interesting and good to know, because, depending on your reason, your real reason you would like to move to the United States and immigrate to the United States, you might also consider that. I have been talking to a lot of people who are interested in building a company in the United States, just from a business perspective of view. And of course, then it's very, attractive for companies to settle in a state where you don't have any additional, for example, like state income tax, as long as you have, like, I would say, a small LLC or something like this, and you are just the primary owner of this. But it has, of course, a significant impact to your income. Now, I personally, I live in most likely the highest state income tax states, and that is California. And people also say to me, Bernard, you must be nuts. Then why are you living when we look at those numbers actually in California or whatever? Look, that has multiple reasons. You know that I lived in many other states. I lived like in North Carolina, in South Carolina, in Georgia, in Texas, in Detroit, in Michigan, in Washington, and so on, in many, many, many other states, in Oregon, and the list goes on. But, for me, I have my own reason why I live also in California, why I moved back to California. There is like the technology hub. Silicon Valley tech industry is very strong here, and that's what I love doing. So that's why I'm here. And yes, of course, I mean, if you make good money, then you also pay a little bit more taxes, right? So that's how the system is usually built, and that's what you should consider. But in general, I think even if a lot of people always like to complain about it, I'm very thankful. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful what this country also offered me so far. And I hope it will even continue. And I only can say the best about it and can say, like, for me, it worked out. For me, it's something like I also chose. And I feel like, yes, you always have pros and cons, and you will and might also always find something you're able to complain and basically say, oh, I like that, this is not good or whatever, right? But anyways, I hope that this little overview helps you also a little bit understanding it a little bit better. I would say in general, look into the progressive tax system for sure. And then I post also a link here below where you can find out a little bit more information, and also look at all the different states and see like what specific state has on top of the federal income tax also state income tax, or they might have no state income tax like Texas, for example, or Florida, right? So I hope also this was a very quick one, and but nevertheless, like the information, I guess, was there, because a lot of people always ask me, I'm confused, Bernard, with how is it going with the taxes, and I don't understand this. Why are people talking about this so much? And what's the difference between, for example, Florida or like California and so on? And I hope I was able to clarify this. So if you would like to know more information, if you want to dive a little bit deeper, if you would like to know how to move to the United States quickly, if you're interested in finding a job, changing your life, leaving the country you're working right now, and you would like to pick up a job in the United States, how to find a sponsorship, what specific visa categories you can pick, and so on, just follow me. Either subscribe here on my YouTube channel or go to my website, gousa.life. Again, that's gousa.life. And you will find plenty of options there also to subscribe to my podcast, which I'm going to distribute on all different kind of platforms. No matter if it's on iPhone or Android, you can just click and follow and listen to all the good stuff. And hopefully I can help you also with my experience and my knowledge when I was immigrating to the United States of America years ago with my entire family and my 3 little kids. And that being said, I wish you already all the best and hope to see you soon in my next video and, talk to you soon, also in my next podcast, etc. And if you have any questions, please feel free to post your question below the video, and I will, like always, try to answer your questions as good as possible. That being said, all the best and good luck, and stay for sure healthy. That's the most important. All the best. Until later. Take care. Bye-bye.